with, where we were last week and in the results of Saturday's game against Austin Peay. Again, like I told the kids last night, I always kind of give the same message. It's not who we beat, it's how we beat them. Okay. And to me, that's what it is. Obviously Syracuse had a top 25 team that they played, and we didn't have a top 25 team. So I think, to their advantage, they've been in a war already. They were in a war for 3 quarters, and so they're probably better prepared for Saturday than we are at noon. But I was happy with the way our kids responded. I was happy to get a lot of guys in the game. I was happy really with that first half, both offensively and defensively, as far as how our kids reacted, approached the game. I talked about almost 70 players playing in the game. I think we had 8 receivers catch their first ball in a Pitt uniform, 8 new ones, which is kind of like, wow. Like, Kenny, spread the ball around and got it to where it needed to be. I think, we were good there. So, and then you move on to Syracuse. Dino Babers, got a lot of respect for him as a football coach, as a person, and as a friend. He's a guy that I'll hang out with, when we get opportunities. Like I said, really, really like him and his wife. So you always hate to, go against someone you really, really like. And, they got, 2 new coordinators on offense and defense, so you're kind of not sure what you're going to get. I think offensively, their offense, is very similar to what they've got. And I think, Coach Babers is always going to get somebody that's, in his backyard. He's got a guy that, formerly worked with him. So, we see similar, stuff. Obviously, we prepare for 4 years worth of stuff and go back and look at 4 years worth of what Coach Babers and that offense has done against us. And then defensively, they're a little bit different, little 3-4, little 4 down. Their strength is in their secondary, with Andre Cisco being the leader back there. Had a nice pick against North Carolina. And then, offensively, Tommy DeVito runs a show, and Taj Harris is a playmaker. They had really 2 of them last year that were really good. And they got another young kid from Orlando, number 14, that's playing really well, and they've targeted him a few times as well. So obviously we got to be all over Taj. He's the one that caught a deep ball on us last year coming out. We didn't play it very well, and we'll have to play a lot better than we did a year ago. Questions?
Pat, last year you guys kind of got after Syracuse's quarterbacks, with 9 sacks. The score and everything like that aside, what do you kind of remember just about watching that pass rush at that point in the season last year?
Not much, John. I hope you're feeling better too, by the way. Isolated at home. I heard that. Yeah. I don't know if it's obviously not good news, but I hope you're feeling better. But what do I remember? Our kids played relentless up there. We had a good rush, and what else is there? We had a lot of good rushes last year. So I'm moving on to next year. I don't care. What happened last year doesn't matter. What happened 4 years ago when it was 76 to whatever, 66. I ain't worried about that game either. The pressure we had last year doesn't matter. It's what are you going to do this year? And they'll be prepared for some of the things we did a year ago. So we have to have a different game plan, do some things a little bit different, and try to figure this whole thing out.
Pat, obviously you had a huge physical advantage on Saturday. How did your guys on offense and defense grade out as far as fundamentally and schematically?
Well, obviously pretty good. When you take the first 6 series and score touchdowns. When you watch the tape, Jerry, you grade it based on on the opponent, based on what you see. And I walked in there last night, team meeting, and just said, hey, nice win. Defense, can you get any better? Oh yeah. Offense, can you get any better? Special teams, we watch as a team, so they know they can get a lot better. So was it perfect? No way. Okay. But can they get better? There's no question about it. And again, it's happy where we are coming out. I think 5 penalties maybe on the day. Nothing major. We had one, kind of a defensively had one, I believe, and it was kind of a ticky-tacky one, and on an interception. But they were our guys were disciplined. They did the right thing, and they graded out pretty good, obviously, especially that first group. I thought, I think going back, I didn't mention this. I don't think in the post game was, Chris Tadulu really punted the ball really well. Kirk had a nice day. We're happy with where he was as far as kicking the football.
And along the line of Jerry's questions, just specifically with Woods and Williams, how you thought those two played in place of Damari?
They both did some nice things. I mean, AJ got beat on the one time, just got spun around, didn't play very well. But, his first time playing corner in a game. So I think he'll just continue to get better. I thought Marquez did a nice job in there. He's physical, makes some nice tackles. Leverage-wise, he's got to be careful. He took a couple shots, made some nice tackles on some quick screens there. But he's got to be, a little bit better as far as where he goes on that, the approach to the tackle. And but I thought both of them played solid out there. So they're going to keep getting better week in and week out. And, again, as I tell you guys, you probably get sick of hearing it. Week 1 to week 2, we're going to make some improvements.
Kenny really spread the ball around, and, Mac didn't play, Wayne didn't play, Tipton didn't play. How do you see that kind of evolving throughout the season once those guys get back into the lineup?
Well, we'll find out when they, when they get back in the lineup, we'll adjust, when that happens. But, just happy with what those young guys are doing. They got to do a better job blocking and run game so we can have some explosives, in the run game. But those guys did a great job out there, and Jalen Barton was a surprise. I mean, I think we kind of saw, Addison in spring ball and kind of knew, okay, this guy's got a chance. And Barton has stormed in to the scene and he's got great speed, and obviously can make plays.
Pat, it seems like they're running with DeVito a little bit more, maybe at least through one game this year. What does that do to your pass rush? Do you have to be more cognizant with those guys that they're not just rushing the passer, but they've got to account for him in the running game as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of the running game, and again, like everybody, more scrambles. Are you driving and zooming? I mean, what? I'm
outside of Panera in Bloomsburg on my way to cover Steelers-Giants today. Stopped just to talk to you, though, Pat.
Okay, good. Be careful out there, would you? What were we talking about? Focus on your driving.
DeVito running the ball, and if that slows down your pass rush at all.
It should not slow it down at all. I mean, we're going to read our keys up front, and something will tell us run, whether it's a quarterback counter that they ran against North Carolina, which they've run those in the past. Quarterback draw we expect to get because it's hurt us in the past a little bit through the years. Why not block it and let them run, which they have not done. I don't think we've seen it in 4 years, but, you always expect the unexpected. But it's not going to slow pass rush down at all.
Coach, it was your first week dealing with COVID protocols during the game week. How happy were you? Or were you happy at all with how your players and coaches and staff dealt with those kind of new COVID protocols?
Yeah, I mean, we've been dealing with it. Game week is no different than last week. Last week was game week, so we tested yesterday and waiting for results, and we'll just continue to move forward. But I feel as safe as I could be. In this building and with the people that I'm surrounded myself with, staff and players. I trust our players when they walk down the hallway are doing the right things when us old people are walking through our facility.
Do you expect any adjustments after last week?
What kind of adjustments?
Just, changes in the way things are handled, just to try to prevent any players being held out on Saturday again. Just things you can control, obviously.
Yeah, there's nothing I can control unless they come sleep in my house. But they're going to have to, again, things happen and you don't know how they happen. But like I said, this building is safe. I feel good when they're here. I can't babysit them every minute of the day. And we talk about it all the time about being safe, and just hope they're being safe out there washing their hands. Because that's the key. Wearing a mask, wash your hands. I think you're pretty good.
Pat, on the punt return last week, Jordan Addison and Damar Hamlin were on the field at the same time wearing number 3. Was that just a mental error on someone's part?
A little bit. We kind of covered it in special teams. Originally Damar was starting on our punt block team. And we took Damar. He wanted to be on that team. Damar's like, Coach, I want to be on that team, which you got to love when players want to be on there. So he was on our punt block team. And then we ended up taking him off because we knew we weren't taking number 3 off our punt return guy. So we took Damar off that, figuring we were set. And then, we went, a couple fourth down and shorts. We went to punt safe, and we take one of our safeties out. Well, we took number 12 out. We left 3 in there. So that's kind of what we ran into by accident. It'll never happen again. But that's some of those pregame, I should say first game things that maybe happened. And we had, probably, me and John Ford in operations went through all the numbers. We actually changed a couple guys' jerseys. I mean, you saw Brandon Hill came out in number 9 as opposed to 22. He was excited to get that change. But that was a special teams deal. But we forgot punt safe, which is one of the things that got us in trouble. And then we had Brandon Hill in number 9. We thought that was good until DJ Turner went back to punt return, and all of a sudden number 9's out there too. So punt safe's what got us. We'll make sure we get our substitutions right this week, and I thank those officials for missing that.
Pat, there were a couple of situations in the game where I think when Davis was out there, you went for it on a 4th and 3. At the end of the first half, you guys called timeout to try and get Alex out there for a late field goal, and the game was out of the out of control at that point. But I guess just to get those kind of sets and get that kind of repetition and that comfort, I guess, in those situations, how important was that? Just to be able to leverage those opportunities.
It was real important for every position. Obviously took Kess out of there because I wanted, Saturday thought, the score here. What are we doing kicking Kess? If someone runs into him and he gets hurt, that's one thing. And so that's why I called a timeout. It sounded weird. I called a timeout and then, froze our whole deal. But, when you get into situations like that, you learn something as a coach. And like I said, excuse me, we learn every day from our players. So, we put, a new kicker out there. Ben goes out there to kick it. And Cal's never snapped to a left-footed kicker or the holder going on the other side, which kind of messed him up a little bit. Cal, I don't know if, I can't remember our last time he had a bad snap. So that's all on me. We should change this, the holder, the snapper, and the kicker at the same time. So I'll take that point against me. But all those things are critical. Like if you ever got in a problem, like can Ben kick an extra point? Now I wouldn't have put him out there for a field goal situation. His first one, but I certainly wanted to give him an extra point. If that's what you're asking.
Any update on Haba as well?
I thought Jerry was going to ask that question. Jerry, you want to ask it? Come on, it's Monday.
John asked a good question. Go ahead.
He's day to day. We'll see.
I do happen to know, Pat. When does the quarantine clock start on those 7 guys that COVID-related absentees on Saturday? Is it a 14-day thing, and then when does it start?
Starts when you test positive. So the day of the test. So if I tested, let's just say Coach Narduzzi test positive, tested on Sunday. So it would be for me, it would be actually 10 days from the day I tested.
So it's a 10-day quarantine then. So those guys won't be available on Saturday.
Say it again.
It's a 10-day quarantine. If they were tested positive on Friday, they won't be available Saturday. Is that right?
Correct.
But you're not going to say when they tested positive or whether they'll be available Saturday.
Correct.
Pat, what's your reaction to being in the top 25?
Correct. No, I mean, no reaction. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, again, it's where you are at the end of the season. I don't really care about it. I'm glad Jerry maybe voted for us. At least he pretended like he did. Congratulations, Jerry. Appreciate it. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, I don't want our kids to even look at it. I'd rather be disrespected like we've been and play with a grudge and a chip on our shoulder. We know what kind of football team we have in here. It doesn't matter what people think on the outside. It's what we do on the field. And with less conferences out there, does it really matter? There's less people playing. It matters less this year than it would matter a year ago. Our job is to go out and win football games on Saturdays.
Coach, kids, were they happy with the win, or are they not satisfied? They expected that one to be a win, and now they're looking forward.
I don't think that anybody expects to win, Kelly, but if they go out and play like they were supposed to, that's what it's supposed to look like. So that is what it's supposed to look like in a perfect world. And they were, pretty perfect in the first half. But I think they were happy, but I think they're also hungry. And, it's my job as a head coach to make sure they'll continue to stay hungry, which we'll do this week.
How do you feel Tyler, Bentley, and Devin and Kalijah and David and those guys, interior pass rushers did?
I think they did a nice job. I mean, I think Devin, maybe could have had a sack one time. He threw the ball so quick that we couldn't get there. But depends on how deep you're throwing it and how short you're throwing it. But I thought they did a great job in there. Devin, Tyler, Kalijah Cansey had a nice day as well. I mean, so all those guys inside, played well, like I thought they would, and we'll just continue to get better every week.
And I know it was late in the game, but did Dayon Hayes do anything to maybe carve himself a role moving forward?
He did. He did. We got some depth at that DN spot. First thing he tells you for the future, things are going to be pretty good. I think we got to bring him back to earth. I may take his phone away because he's tweeting a lot and feel really good. So we'll get him back to earth and get him away from Mars. But Dayon's an unbelievable kid. He's just a great kid to coach. You're happy for a guy to go in there, him and Nate Temple. Nate Temple got a nice hit on the quarterback as well. Both those guys were on scout field all last week, just so they're what we call rocks. They didn't take a snap on defense. Neither did Bengali, who went out there. AJ Woods at linebacker. I mean, they didn't get a snap. I mean, they just kind of was recalled from 2 weeks ago. Really, about the last time they took a snap on the field, and heard our defensive called. So. Situations happen like that. I was impressed with the way those guys all came in and played. But Dayon, we're going to look at it. We just know, hey, if something happens, we're not afraid to put him in a football game because he, I don't want to call him a gamer, but he showed some things that he's not afraid of that, that scene either. So he helped himself a lot.
One of those five backs caught your eye the most.
Amanda's up.
Oh, sorry, Amanda. My fault. My apologies.
That's okay. Pat, how challenging is it to go from just one non-conference game into not just opening conference play this weekend, but playing 10 conference?
You know what? I don't know if it really matters. I really don't like opening up with a conference game like we did last year. I think, that improvement from week 1 to week 2, just like Syracuse is going to get better from week 1 to week 2. Bet your life they will. It really doesn't bother me. I think just getting that first one under your belt, we usually have one game that maybe is a little easier than the rest of them are, every year it seems like, it's a bear. So it doesn't matter. Matter of fact, I'd rather play the best. I think our kids play. It's harder to get them ready for Austin Peay. It's hard to get them ready for Youngstown State and Delaware and Albany. But it won't be hard to get them ready for Syracuse or Clemson or North Carolina or whoever else we get to play. So it's kind of a benefit. It's like we don't have to worry about, them being mentally ready to go.
Pat, of those 5 running backs, who caught your eye the most?
They all did some good things. I mean, but Vince Davis was the guy that made people miss. It seemed like, and I'll take the words out of Coach Powell's mouth that, when we block for 7, we got 7. We block for 8, we get 8. We block for 3, we get 3. You like to block for 3 and get 8. You like to block for 8 and get 28. So, just got to, have people, have a chance to get in there, make something happen. And there was blocks being made, and, they're not going to be held forever. But, as we used to talk in the old days, a good running back is, BYOB, be your own blocker. You got to make people miss. And, that was one thing I saw Vince do, which we saw him do it last year. He's a good back.
Pat, whether or not he'll play on Saturday, how eager is Rashad to get back on the field, kind of obviously given everything that he's gone through?
I think, anybody that's not playing, whether it's an injury or some other reason, they're all eager to come back. So you just got to wait your time and they all know what has to go. They know the process. Everybody's eager, but you got to do what you got to do.
Pat, you talked on Saturday that, that's how you wanted an opener to look like. That's, kind of where you wanted to be. What are you looking for this week from your guys, leading up to the opening of conference play?
Well, we're looking to get better. They're going to play a very talented, fast Syracuse football team. So they better come out ready to play. But I'm looking for improvement. We talk about it in practice every day. I told them they better be 3% better just watching the tape and going, oh, yeah, I see what I messed up. So they got 3% better just in a meeting yesterday. And we got to get 3% better, tomorrow when we step on the field. I'm hoping some of them are sitting around here as I walk around the facility in the linebacker room, an O-line room, and quarterback room, watching tape. Hopefully, DeMar Hamlin walks in the defense staff room saying, "Hey, what do I watch?" He's sitting in the defensive staff room right now, eating lunch and watching videotape, and he's like, he's like a videotape guru. I mean, I've never, he's the captain now, so we're pregame meal. We're dinner Friday night, and DeMar's sitting there watching. He's got his iPad on. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm watching tape, coach." I'm like, "It's dinner time. Can you put, it's like, it's like you guys sit with your families with your phones, but he's watching videotapes. What am I going to do? Mess with his mojo?" He's in there watching tape again. So we're getting 3% better every day. And then when we put our pads on, we get to walk out there tomorrow morning. We have to get 3% better. We got to know what our mistakes were. We got to fix them, fundamentally, and structurally.
Pat,
Any final questions for Coach?
Yeah.
Alan, please go ahead.
Yeah, Pat, you mentioned Cisco in your opening. How hard is he for a quarterback to keep track of, and what makes him so good, especially when the ball's in the air?
He's kind of like Paris Ford. He finds the ball. He's got great eyes. He'll play all over the place. He'll kind of know where. He'll have a good beat on what we do. We'll have to change up what we do and try to stay away from him. But he's just a great football player. I mean. Again, he didn't do that in one game. He's proved that over his career there, and he'll be a player that plays at the next level.
Pat, just wanted to ask, for the players that aren't able to, that are you're dealing with quarantine and they're trying to test and get back clear. I presume they're in Zoom meetings, making sure they're keeping up with everything. What have you seen from the guys who had to go through that and how they're tackling that challenge? Because they went through a whole summer of having to do Zoom meetings and then practice, and now they're back into that. That has to be frustrating for young guys.
I really haven't, had many conversations on it with Zoom. It's just the protocol that we have to go through, and they're going to sit on Zoom calls, and whether it's a team meeting and the iPad sitting in front of me in the indoor facility as we're socially distanced, they're with our position coaches. They don't want to miss a beat. I mean, they're happy to be on a Zoom call, put it that way. That's all they get. Okay. So you get stripped of really you get stripped of everything. You're in isolation. You're locked down. You got your cell phone, you got your iPad, and you got a bed. So, we ask them to sit up, turn their Zoom, put their picture on. I mean, some of these guys don't have their pictures on today. I mean, geez, Pete. Casey's on here. Bostic, he's got some fake picture up there. I mean, he's pretending he's probably taking a nap in his office right now. Oh, there comes Seth. There's Bostic. He took his stuff off. We wouldn't let that happen. LaSalle is in there now too. What other questions we got?
Anything final?
Yeah, Pat.
Coach,
go ahead.
Heading out into Heinz Field, first time, surreal. It seemed like when the game was on, everybody's focused on the field, but just the general atmosphere that'll be this way, it looks like for the season, coming out and playing with no fans in the stands. What was that experience like?
Coming out of the tunnel was a little bit different. I was waiting for that tunnel, the lane where the band would be, and the cheerleaders and dance team would have it, kind of carve out there. Actually, I asked the guys, I said, "Hey, you guys want to go towards the 50 or you want to go straight shot?" And I think they wanted to take the shortcut to the sideline. But once the game got started, it was normal. We had some crowd noise, but we're focused on the game. I think our kids were good. One of the keys to victory, I said before the game, was to create our own energy. We are the energy, and I say that every week. It doesn't matter whether you're on the road or at home. We've got to always create our own energy, and I think there's some guys out there that'll be contagious. You watch Paris Ford; he's always so energetic. If the offense does something big, the defense does something big. And, we want to get everybody like Paris is. He's just that energy that is contagious, and we want everybody to catch that.
Pat, you guys didn't come out of the locker room until after the national anthem. Was that a team decision, your decision, and what went into that?
Well, we talked about it as a leadership council, but there's no fans out there. I don't even think they're going to play a national anthem. I mean, there's nobody there. What are we going to go out there and, So, it was just kind of a team deal. It was like kind of common sense that there was nothing to do out there.